Hello! And welcome to episode 45 of Modern Media Review, the podcast that's temporarily switched to a 3-week fortnight to save resources in the time of coronavirus. I'm Robin Gibson.
And I'm Sean Gollogly.
And, 3 weeks or not, I think we'll have to get back to the old kind of grinding schedule now that lockdown's being eased, Sean. Although, for me, it's a bit complicated. We've got completely different rules in Scotland to England. And they might even close the border soon, I've heard, because there's no cases up here. It's a bit like being David Bowie.
What, you mean dead?
No, well, not maybe, philosophically dead, but no, commuting between Geneva and New York. I mean, he had it easy. There was no coronavirus in those days.
That is true, but it reminds me, I was watching Fake Glastonbury last night.
Oh, yeah.
Circa 2000. It made me realise, and this is probably not going to make me popular, but he lived his post-82. His life was a postscript, wasn't it?
Yeah.
A back catalogue karaoke man.
I know, and you get these people who go like, oh, it was so unfortunate I never got the chance to see David Bowie live, but I mean, for most of the 90s, you could walk into one of his gigs and pay on the door. You couldn't shift a ticket, especially when he did his drum and bass album.
What about Tin Machine?
I saw Tin Machine twice at the Town and Country Club, as it was then known. That was fairly sparsely attended.
Were they paying you to come in?
Anyway, we're out of Bowie and we're out of lockdown. We won't need any more fake Glastonbury soon. So what's it going to be like, the post-lockdown world?
Well, when it first started, I mean, we were upbeat in a sort of downbeat, hopeful sort of way. And like all these things, you think, I'll improve myself. I'll become a veggie. I'll run 5k a day. I'll learn to play the guitar or learn a language that allows me to appreciate the culture of others.
Wait a minute, I've done all that.
Have you?
Yeah.
Bloody hell.
Running, playing the guitar, 2 or 3 languages, the works, mate.
Do you know what? I haven't even been able to manage how to ask for 20 Bensons in Spanish.
I think that's just 20 Benson, isn't it?
Well, it is in Benidorm. The other thing was, when we first kicked off on lockdown, if you remember this, you couldn't get a can of tin tomatoes for love nor money. And again, it was one of those things where you thought, I'll buy tin tomatoes for those old folk that live up the road, And screw them if they don't want tin tomatoes or dill or samphire. You're not getting bacon.
Well, have you not bought any tomatoes for the old folk up the road?
I have to admit I haven't.
I'm very disappointed in your lockdown philanthropy here.
I know, and worse than that, what I really wanted to do, and this is so London, is that I could go onto one of those websites for a £5. You can salve your first world guilt by paying a £5 to educate a child in the third world,
What exactly do you think you could teach them?
Well, no, this is the great thing about it. You get someone else to do it for a £5 for you. You just take all the glory and boast about it in the pubs when they reopen.
It's like adopting a snow leopard, isn't it?
Yeah.
Obviously someone else does that, because if you did it yourself, it would rip your bloody head off.
Well, every now and again you get those lunatics that go to the zoo and decide to be at one with the lions and climb down in. I think that would be the equivalent of that, wouldn't it?
Well, that's going to be back soon now that lockdown's over. Everyone's free to go to the zoo and climb in with the lions.
But I was thinking, all these good intentions, this is what must have happened to the folk who invented the internet. They must have been thinking, we'll create this brave new world where people can share information and knowledge. It'll make the world a much better place. An information superhighway. It'll be brilliant. What could possibly go wrong?
Well, nothing, obviously.
Well, that's what, it was a lovely thought, but most people that use the internet either watch free pornography or waste their days dissing off, trolling other folk. I mean, For goodness sake, we're in the 21st century. Is this the zenith of humankind? Is this really the best we can do? If it is, I'm like the dragons from the den, I'm out of here.
There's no way I'm talking to you about the zenith of humanity, Sean. This is so soppy. I mean, next thing you'll be telling me that, you learned something important today. And it's a Wonderful Life or Schindler's List or South Park. This is a problem with lockdown, isn't it, for people with too much time on their hands who aren't keeping themselves fit for return to hard, grinding, badly paid physical work. Introspection.
That is true. I mean, I have been watching things like It's a Wonderful Life, Schindler's List, and South Park. It's true. I need to be weaned off this lockdown and get myself productive, Robin.
Well, this introspection thing, I mean, something you wouldn't normally do on a Saturday night is switch on Radio 5 Live, but I did on Saturday by accident.
Okay.
And it was a right sort of drunken, hippo sort of wallow of introspection. I mean, certainly more than the usual sort of Saturday night fare with, you know, Robbie Savage being matey and then Stephen Nolan being matey. Actually, it wasn't Stephen Nolan doing this. Presumably he's out because he's a sort of hippo-like body himself, but it was some fill-in, which was really bad because, you know, he's filling in and the info screen still says Stephen Nolan.
Oh, no.
It doesn't get much worse than that, you know, Mr. X. And he was talking to some equally obscure people that were meant to be well known. Well, that's another problem. They're sort of running out of people, aren't they?
Exactly. I mean, I watched one of these Vox Pop things the other day where everyone was on Zoom, and it was like reality star extravaganza, except I couldn't have named you one of them.
No, I know. Anyway, the point about this was the introspection. So they had a lot of these people, like, I mean, one of them was literally called Dave. You couldn't make his name out, and he was a comedian, apparently. Brackets comedian. And anyway, they were all talking about how lockdown has made them all rethink their body image.
Oh, man. I can't be having this. I mean, what sort of world are we living in where we're all talking about, you know, how our bodies look and all the rest of it? I mean, Boris Johnson was on about this. Did you see him in the papers today? Berating us for being significantly fatter than other nations. Well, he did preface that by saying, well, apart from the Maltese. I mean,
well, what's up with the Maltese?
Yeah, apparently they're significantly fatter than us. But pot and kettle.
I know.
Boris Johnson.
He accounts for a lot of the excess fat in the country, doesn't he?
Yeah, if we trimmed him down a bit, our body mass would be a lot lower. But then we see pictures of Johnson in his office doing press-ups. I mean, who needs to see a middle-aged man puffing out up and down? I mean, I'll leave that vision to Carrie.
It's very macho. I mean, I must say, after hearing all this, I've been modelling.
What? You've been showcasing your toned abs on Instagram?
No, modelling. Somewhat foolishly sentimental. About the world, you know, before lockdown, when no one discussed their body image problems on a Saturday night. I mean, because we didn't, did we?
This whole nonsense, this navel-gazing nonsense that people have been doing, is all going to be redundant because the world we come back to will be a very different one. For a start, your job's going to be done, which I guess, unfortunately, would leave you a bit more time for navel-gazing.
Unfortunately, Sean, I've got to break it to you for the second time in 3 podcasts that you didn't have a job before the lockdown started.
I was ahead of the game, mate. That's all I'm going to tell you. But anyway, you know, even if your job isn't gone, it is gone, because I'm sorry, but COVID has given your boss a great opportunity to bust his or her salary, pension and dividend by saying your job is gone or you're coming back on half your money. And it isn't, by the way, because the pie is still the same pie. You're just not getting as big a slice of it. But, you know, you have to give him or her some sympathy, Robin, because how else are they going to upgrade that £150 million boat? Show some compassion, man. They're wealth creators.
I feel like you're ranting a bit here, but I think
I am ranting a bit, I can't help it.
Every £150 million boat is well deserved.
It's...
But I've just got to stop you there because there has been some good...
What, from ranting again?
Yeah, there has been some good media news today. I heard that Catchphrase was going to be the first ITV show to restart filming new episodes. That's good news, isn't it?
That is great news.
Exactly, but they're going to have... Now, this I found interesting. They're going to have social distancing, which I thought, for Catchphrase, it's a bit like the papers on BBC News Channel. There's an interesting sort of frisson between the contestants sometimes, and that's going to be spoilt by social distancing because they won't be able to kind of almost rub up against each other. And
You've been watching a different Catchphrase to me, mate.
And there's going to be no audience. So I wasn't aware there was an audience on Catchphrase. I mean, audience noise, yeah, but real people.
I always thought there was, but then I could have been thrown off because this was a bit like, I don't know if you watched the football over the weekend, but on the telly, the fake fan noise was so annoying.
No, it was appalling. It just put me off entirely. It's only there so you can't hear them swearing at each other, which I was really looking forward to after watching the German version, and you could hear everything they said. And obviously having learnt German in lockdown to understand other cultures. Anyway, who actually, consciously registers to go and watch Catchphrase? Do you think there's some sort of plea bargaining thing, like maybe when the bailiffs come round, we're gonna take your telly, mate, right? Or, you can go and watch a series of Catchphrase entirely at your own expense.
I have to admit here that I did once consider applying to Bullseye because my pal was a good darts player and I'm decent at general knowledge, and I could throw a dart too, and between us, we thought we had a good shout at winning it, but when we got as far as discussing, not applying, but winning, but where we were going to put the speedboat and how we'd sort out custody of it, sort of kiboshed the lot.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's tricky, but I mean, you only said you considered applying, you didn't actually apply.
Well, I didn't know where to apply to.
Derby, apparently.
Yes, P.O. Box Derby.
Anyway, never mind P.O. boxes. We're in a modern world now. We're doing a podcast, so we should just pause for a minute, stop the rant, and do a bit of plugging for our product, Modern Media Review, which you're listening to, and which, if you like it, you can subscribe to us on any of the platforms that we're available on. YouTube, Spotify, Google, Apple, all of them really, or on the website, modernmediareview.com, and we're on Twitter. So please do subscribe if you like it, or even if you don't, as you always say, Sean.
I do always say that, but I thought I'd give you that punchline.
Yeah, but anyway, we've been talking about what it's going to be like, but I don't know if people have noticed, but lockdown is already over, isn't it? There's sort of quite a large party culture going on at the moment, I've noticed in the news.
Block parties?
Yeah, people are rediscovering world before of vitality and activity. Like Johnson said, the bustle is back. Shitting on a beach, pissing up people's front doors and giving coppers a hiding in Brixton.
I love that. Boris Johnson didn't actually say the bustle is back, did he?
Yeah, he did, yeah.
See, this might have been some sort of Freudian slip from Boris, because he probably making some sort of statement about how he'd like his women to look, wearing bustles. Proper Victorian values, Robin.
Yeah, I looked up bustles, actually, because I was wondering when they were actually in fashion. Apparently they went out of fashion in the late 1800s, because in the mid-1880s, it says here, that they'd been developed such an extent that some of them could collapse when the wearer sat down and then sprang back into shape when she stood up.
Like a clown suit.
Clown trousers, yeah. But it says, despite such innovations, it went out of fashion. I put it to you that it's because of such innovations.
I know, I definitely with despite. What more can you do for these women bustle wearers?
Anyway, everyone's bustling. They're not wearing them, but they're bustling. And I think, I've been too cautious, really. I was listening to this counsellor from Bournemouth saying that some people had driven 40 or 50 miles to get to that beach where everyone was. I mean, I'd completely forgotten the sort of sheer joy of driving 40 or 50 miles to get to some stinking beach, with no toilets and getting stabbed up by pissed up day trippers who are out of their brains on Coke and Stella.
Not just Coke and Stella. As you'll see from the pictures of the 500,000 people that squeezed onto Brighton and Bournemouth beaches. I mean, what was this anyway? Was it like a works do where the whole sort of city got into the charabanc and went down at once? Unbelievable. But the other thing, never mind Coke and Stella, hippy crack was the headline in the Daily Mail, or Noz, as it's better known on the streets, or obviously in the offices of the Daily Mail.
Maybe your street, yeah.
Yeah, look, talk about that all the time.
I can't take it seriously, hippie crack. Sucking nitrous oxide or whatever it is out of a balloon is no way to say, it's not crack.
Well, basically, apart from the litter aspect, where, yes, you think, at least pick up your silver tubes, children, after you've been, sucking in your nitrous. But hippie crack, I mean, this can't be as bad as honking on your crack pipe, can it?
No way. They said in the paper today that it's a gateway drug to harder substances.
Well, yeah, I mean, like Ribena's a gateway to red wine abuse.
Yes, very strong port. I think the big problem here is with all this beach-going, hippie, cracking, stabbing, rioting stuff is that people have kind of forgotten how to enjoy themselves properly. They're going at it too hard. I think the government could soak up a lot of this public energy by embarking on their massive programme of public building for phone boxes. And that would give the people something to really get their boots into, wouldn't it?
Yeah, you've got a thing about phone boxes. What is this? Do you miss them?
Smashing up phone boxes used to defray a lot of youthful energy. Now you can't do it. They could give out glue with the free school lunches as well. Go for the double whammy. By the way, did you notice the state of those coppers in Brixton for round one?
They did.
They turned up in their like casual gear. They're like the kid who turned up for football at school in their trainers. You know, like, sorry son, no boots, no game, back to the changing room, you know?
Yeah.
I think the coppers had forgotten how to enjoy themselves too.
Well, it's very unlike them to be unprepared for a riot, but...
Well, Cressida Dick had to come out in the Express today and say it's on the front page. Britain's top cop says we've not gone soft.
I think Cressida Dick, according to a lot of what I can see on social media, is part of this problem.
Yeah, she is. Well, they're all the coppers are part of the problem. It's like we said in the last one about Bo Diddley. The police should be off the street by 9 o'clock at night. There'd be a lot less trouble.
Well, according to some very, very conservative commentators on social media, they've been off the street full stop.
Well, we need some sort of world-beating app to trace their movements so that people can just stay out of their way and get on with having their fun without having to chase them back to the nick. But, you know, world-beating app, can that be a phrase? The world of world-class world-beating apps has gone a bit quiet, hasn't it?
Yeah.
They've kind of pushed the app under the carpet. Well, you've got to wonder what they've actually been doing, whoever it was that was meant to be perfecting this world-beating app.
Creaming off a load of bloody money, Robin.
I'm thinking maybe they've been doing a load of drugs and style and getting the bustle back, right? And they've sort of forgotten about what they were meant to be doing. This is so often the case with drugs and drink. You're working away on something, then you get a bit of a buzz on, something really good comes on the radio, you get preoccupied, you forget what you were meant to be doing. Like 3 weeks later, you sort of snap out of it, don't you? You go, fucking hell, we were meant to be building an app, now we spent all the money.
Well, it's funny you should say that because I had a couple of pals that I used to work for. They'd taken a big, massive government entrepreneur startup capital award. So they had a load of money in the bank, and basically that's what they did. They sat around smoking a lot of dope and drinking a lot of lager.
It's a great danger. If you get a big grant, you know, what are you going to do with it?
Well, it seemed so far away that they had to do something because they had so much money that why not kick on? You know, zone out while watching Neighbours or get on massiveboobs.com.
But this is you know, also... there was a Cummings connection that made the app a bit embarrassing, wasn't it?
That was brilliant.
People started saying that there was a mix-up with some names and people started accusing them of awarding the contract for the app to his mum or his sister or something.
Which would have been a perfect storm, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but a full fact check, which is quite a good website, checked all that and they proved that it wasn't the same people, you know.
I know, it's such a shame.
Well, it is a shame because given his track record, Dom's, you know, it might have been quite a good app if his family, they could have traced all your 250-mile drives and whether or not you stopped for a piss. I think it would have been world class.
Absolutely. I think that it was Dom that really started off these big sort of treks for sort of like rave parties on the beach when he did his 250-mile drive up to his old man's farm. I mean, the difference was, you know, for poor old Dom, is that at least when he took his 250-mile drive up and got his sound system out at the old man's farm and started playing ABBA Dancing Queen, the difference was that because his nearest neighbours were miles away because they're so rich, it wasn't going to be an issue.
See if he'd gone down a housing estate in Brixton and started playing Dancing Queen by ABBA. He wouldn't have got out of there alive, mate. Anyway, it all just goes to show you can't really trust any modern media to report the facts. And, you know, maybe the government has got a brilliant app and no one's reported it.
No.
No, actually, it's about as credible as that Toasteroid crowdfunder con, isn't it? The app that printed messages in your toast where they raised... Effectively, they've done that. Raised a load of money from the public and then not done anything with it. Nipped off with it.
It was probably my two mates.
Yeah. Anyway, that's the app. It's not happening, is it?
Oh.
I think we need to get back to real reality before we finish up, because
Okay.
there's some real people, well, one real person allegedly in the media who's deserved a review in the past week, which is Norman Tebbit.
Do you know what? I thought he was gone.
No, well, he is somewhat in a very real sense he's gone, because he wrote a column, a sophisticated column in the Telegraph, didn't he?
Okay.
Kind of trying to, in a roundabout way, undermine Black Lives Matter and protests in general. And somehow, very early in the column, he managed to make the assertion that Hitler was a far-left politician. I thought, how twisted a mind do you have to get that in so that you can effectively accuse the far left of being Nazis? It's like as if the Führer was like someone that someone Keir Starmer might have tolerated in the Labour Party for a while until he sort of endorsed a vaguely anti-Semitic newspaper article. The Telegraph printing all this stuff, it's just a fanzine now, isn't it?
It's unbelievable. What can you say? All you have to do, you're talking about full fact checking and all the rest of it. All it seems to be in the media now is you just make some weird assertion like that, or totally twist reality, or turn things in your head. Talk about 1984 or George Orwell, blimey. Got nothing on this lot.
Well, it's incredible. Well, talking about the future of 1984, I got an email yesterday from some sort of online employment scam. Well, but an agency, an employment agency, emailed me to say that, now I quote here, I'd be a perfect fit as a click worker at Human Grid. Fucking hell, Human Grid? Click worker? What does that sound good? What does it mean?
It doesn't sound good. It sounds very sort of Brave New World, you know. You're going to be assigned to your little grid, but vaguely human. Or could be totally something different, you know. Probably means maybe a slaughterman in an abattoir. A human abattoir. Yeah, exactly.
The Human Grid, yeah, like the cattle grid, yeah.
we have got a surplus to get rid of soon. You know, we'll have too many people not contributing enough, and we need to somehow get rid of these folks.
Yeah, we can just click them away if there's surplus.
I like that.
Yeah, a bit like this podcast, which hasn't quite hit the surplus level yet, so it's probably time to wrap it up. Get out there and get the bustle back, Sean.
I want to get the bustle back.
Yeah, and remember to wear your boots, not your trainers.
That's true. And definitely not your wellies, as a young kid once turned up to one of my football matches in.
Although it is a bit wet, because not only has everything else gone wrong for the government, but summer's gone as well.
Totally. What could be worse?
Going on any longer than this.
Yes.
So we'll call it a day, and we'll be back in 2 weeks on lockdown with some. I think we should review Catchphrase.
Okay. Well, you say that. We won't be in lockdown. Might be Leicester might still be in lockdown.
It might be. We could review Leicester
from a Catchphrase point of view. Okay.
Yeah, right, that'll do. Thanks very much for listening, and we'll talk to you soon as we can, really.
Cheers. Catch you next time.
Bye.